City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.
Good evening, Rotorua. Tonight on City News. Rotorua SPCA is encouraging locals to take action against cruel legal hires animal testing. Visitors staying in local hotels and motels will have a new Gideon's Bible in their room. And thousands of hunters get ready for the start of the game bird hunting season this weekend. Rotorua SPCA is encouraging locals to take action against cruel legal high animal testing. The call comes as the government begins working out the testing regime for manufacturers to use when applying to get legal highs back onto the shelves after they banned them earlier this week. SPCA Rotorua has started a Facebook campaign against animal testing, saying it involves cruelty to animals such as dogs and rats, leading to pain, distress and death. To support the call, find SPCA on Facebook. Visitors staying in local hotels and motels will from next week have a new Gideon's Bible in their room. Around 6,500 Bibles have been labelled at St Andrew's Presbyterian Church in readiness for the 3-day blitz next week.
Well, we're excited to be here standing with you amongst this huge, 6,500 more than Bibles and New Testaments. And we have witnessed and helped with the sticking or the opening of the boxes and the placing of the labels inside, which identifies them and has a call number for anyone who wants further information in the hotel or motel. So every Bible has been opened, and there's been a lot of work done, not just by David and I, but by volunteers from different church groups to put the stickers in.
And so on the 11th, the Gideons from all around the country, far away as Timaru and Hamilton, Rotorua, Tauranga, will gather here, and they'll take church services on that day, so on the 11th, being a Sunday. And then on the 12th, we'll come to this room here. They'll load their cars, 10 or 12 to a car, or van, might be more, and they'll go to have a set sheet of paper. They'll visit the motels. Nice. We have warned all the moteliers. All of them have been rung. All of them know that it's happening, and so we'll deliver them, and hopefully we'll get back the old ones in drips and drabs.
Back here as well,
yes,
temporarily.
Toi Te Ora Public Health is advising that the algal bloom health warnings previously issued for Lake Rotoehu and Lake Rotowiti have been lifted. Medical Officer of Health Dr Neil DeWett says algal blooms have subsided in both lakes. He says although the warning has been lifted, the public should always be vigilant for signs of the blooms if using lakes. In sport tonight, tens of thousands of hunters are expected to enjoy a great start to the new game bird hunting season, which gets underway this Saturday, prompting Fish and Game to issue warning to hunters to be vigilant and remember safety first.
Number one for us is guys need to make sure they've got their hunting licence because they never know when they're going to get checked by rangers out in the field. They need to make sure that they've got all their gear, their mai sorted out, all ready to go for the season. My nicely camouflaged up, and make sure if they're hunting over open water and using a 10 or 12 gauge shotgun, not to be using lead shot ammunition.
Now the season kicks off very shortly. It's May the 3rd, isn't it?
Yes, first weekend of May is always the opening weekend of duck hunting season. It's a very social event. A lot of people get out and they really enjoy that opening weekend. So we really want to remind people when they're out hunting, hunt responsibly and carefully. While they've got firearms out there hunting, avoid the alcohol while they're hunting, keep it to the end of the day.
To your weather update now. Tonight, fine with light winds and an overnight low of 3. Tomorrow, Friday, a chilly start with high cloud increasing in the afternoon, light winds, a high of 16 and a low of 4. And the outlook for Saturday, fine spells with light winds, a high of 17 and a low of 6. And the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua for Friday, variable 5 knots with waves less than half a metre and long fine spells. Remember, for program listings and other info or to upload images, check out our website tvrotorua.co.nz, or you can look us up on Facebook. Still to come in tonight's program, we're with MP Todd McClay and Mayor Steve Chadwick at the announcement of major funding to clean up Lake Rotorua. And we talk with Chad Tuoro about last week's Talent ID program searching for up-and-coming rugby players.
Hubful towards being able to do the work that we need to clean up Lake Rotorua and to ensure that we have a vibrant and strong rural economy. I'm going to recognise a few people in a moment, but what I might do first is ask Arapeta Tahana if he would do a blessing for our gathering today. What we'll do is I'll say a few words around the announcement. I'll ask Mayor Steve Chadwick also to speak, and Doug Leader, Chair of the Bay of Plenty Regional Council. Then I've been very keen for others who want to speak. Chair of the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, Doug Leader, Councillors Neil Oppett, Lyle Thurston, Arapeta Tahana from Regional Council, also Councillor Peter Bentley from the Rotorua District Council. I want to recognise Arthur Warren. Arthur, thank you for being here today. From Lakes Water Quality Society, the Chair, John Green, and other members here, in particular to recognise Ian McLean for his many, many years of service to the wider district and particularly around water quality issues. From the farming community, I want to recognise Stuart Morrison, Neil Heather, Wendy and others who are here, and they also represent the collective of farmers in this catchment that have come together to focus on issues important to the environment and the rural sector. People from Grow Rotorua who are also here, and Warren Murray, who is very much involved with hands-to-hand detail of our Lakes program. Ladies and gentlemen, often when decisions are made in Wellington or in council chambers, we send out a press release and we go on about our everyday business. But I thought today was a very special day, and it was worth marking because it is actually about a long journey started many years ago, long before I became a local representative, and it has involved so very many people. And that journey really is about recognising the importance of a lake to the people that live in the catchment that we can see in this basin around us, and the importance of a local economy and a way of life in our rural sector that actually makes Rotorua such a very special place. Now, we all know about the problems of the past, and we know about the discussions we've had, the disagreements and the arguments. And I remember an early conversation with Steve when I became MP, a little bit about what needed to be done. And I remember she gave me a little bit of advice through the newspaper, which was if she was the MP, she would have got those farmers in a corner and got them to get on with it by now. And I actually thought that was probably some pretty good advice, and therefore gave a bit more thought to what the challenge was. What I found in those days was that the different groups that I met, they were saying the same things. You know, we need a clean lake, but actually there has to be a place for farming as well. So from that, I remember Neil giving me a call one day. Neil, I enjoy your calls because they always make me realise that the job's not quite done yet. And he's a very passionate advocate for all of these things, but realised that actually there was still a bit more to do because our farmers were still locked in a fight, a battle with the regional council, and we were letting too many lawyers and judges in the Environment Court make decisions about the future of the part of New Zealand that we choose to live in. And so we got together and I did the same thing again, took Steve's earlier advice, phoned the regional council and got the farmers and said, we're having a meeting in my office next week and we're going to stay here until we sort this out. And if I thought it was difficult getting Lakes Water Quality Society and farmers to agree, by golly, when you get experts and lawyers together offering advice, the challenge was a great one.
Mayor Steve, obviously today with Todd's announcement, you as the Mayor of the city and someone who's championed this whole cause from a long way back, this is a good outcome.
This is a stunning outcome for us in Rotorua. It's the next step on a long journey that started in 2000, but well done to Todd as our MP for securing this funding. With an election coming up, it's always worrying that something on the table could be pulled to go to other pressures around the rest of the country. So for us, for our lakes water quality journey, this is great news. And so well done to Todd, well done to the Minister, and also Regional Council, because there's been a bit of toing and froing to get the right information to give the Minister confidence that we will spend this money wisely.
And really, just to sum it up, it's been part of a long journey which hasn't finished yet.
No, it hasn't finished yet. There's a lot more projects that we've got to work on till, I would say, till 2030 at least, where we've said that this outstanding environment needs to be protected, and that includes our waters. So there are many more projects that we have to plan for over the next 14 years.
Well, in behind us here is, of course, Lake Rotorua, and that's the subject of our meeting here. It's the Aorangi Peak, right up the top of the hill here, so it's an ideal backdrop. But for the occasion today, it's even more appropriate because with me is Todd McClay, our National MP, of course, who's got, a fairly major breakthrough to be announced, and you've done that here today at a function. But for the viewers at home, something like $24 million has been allocated by government for Rotorua Lakes.
Well, that's right, Wayne. It is a very exciting day. Many years ago, a government proposed $72 million to be put aside to clean up Rotorua lakes. Some of that was dedicated to Lake Rotorua, and the rules at the time said if we didn't spend it on the things that we had proposed, it had to go back to Wellington. Well, scientists told us that if we had spent $24 million on the things proposed, it wouldn't have made very much difference at all, and that wouldn't have been fair to the taxpayer, because after all, this is taxpayers' money. So over the last year, I've joined together with Regional Council, Mayor Steve and Rotorua District Council, farmers, lake water quality expert scientists, to come up with a plan to keep the money in our catchment and to use it, put it to better use so that we can clean up Lake Rotorua. And today is the day that the Minister has announced that she's agreed. The $24 million, which will be matched by Regional Council, so $48 million in total, will be available to help us clean up Lake Rotorua over the coming years. Great day for Rotorua.
And here at the occasion, of course, we had representatives as a cross-section of the stakeholders that were here. There was some rather grateful remarks after your announcement. It has been a long journey, but this is major.
Yeah, so for almost 15 years, people have been talking about what we need to do for Lake Rotorua. 10 years ago, the Herald ran a story that said the death of a lake. And really in those days it was all going in the wrong direction. 5 years ago, I started working with Lakes Water Quality Society and local farmers to get them to agree what needed to be done. Changes on land, changes in the town, changes in the lake. And they actually have become a real asset for our community. The farmers are at the forefront of wanting to make change for the good of the lake. But equally, Lakes Water Quality Society has recognised the importance to the local economy and to jobs of the rural sector. So,
what's been the hardest part of getting them all around the table? And of course, obviously with the allocation of that $24 million, there's going to be more around the table as to how you put legs on it. But what's been the major aspect of getting everyone around the table? Because it has been a team thing, a partnering thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, so when I got involved, very much it was quite acrimonious, and it was about blame. So they were talking about who was responsible, rather who would be part of the solution. So I called them together for a meeting, initially in the pub and then in my office, and we kept meeting again and again and again,
and they were willing to do that,
until we reached agreement. But I said to them I would commit my time and my effort to be an honest broker and try and get through this, and that worked really well. The other really big part of the success was a year ago, where the farmers the Regional Council and I signed what we called the Rotorua Agreement, and this was to finish a 10-year court battle between farmers and Regional Council, where lawyers were involved, and largely some judges in the Environment Court were going to decide what was right for Rotorua. And I didn't think that was appropriate, so we did the same again. I called them together in my office, meeting after meeting. We reached agreement, they settled out of court, and now all of a sudden everybody is focusing on the solution. Everybody is part of the solution, nobody is to be blamed.
One of the other aspects of that, and we really appreciate what the work you've put into it as our local MP, but one of the other aspects is that this is a benchmark for the rest of the country, isn't it?
Absolutely. So many parts of New Zealand face similar challenges. Some of it was much more difficult here in Rotorua. You know, this is a small shallow lake with a very small catchment. So if you look around us here, you know, there are steep hills everywhere and all of the water runs to Rotorua. It's not that necessarily farming is intensive here, but there is quite a lot of it for the area of land. So many parts of New Zealand face the same challenges. I think if they follow on from and emulate the process we've put in place where they collaborate, they talk together, they find solutions rather than screaming and yelling and blaming, then they too can do what we've done here. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to go out and sell some of the intellectual property that has been developed around cleaning up waterways here at home in Rotorua, sell it to other parts of the country. Look, I just think this is a win-win for our community.
Because there will be similar situations where so many stakeholders need to come together, so it's got to be good for the future.
Yeah, so Regional Council need a lot of recognition in this. They've done something that councils often won't do. So rather than just saying, well, here's a proposal, what do you think, and then deciding themselves as regulators, they've actually created structures with the farmers, with Lakes Water Quality, with iwi, with all sorts of people here to make decisions together. So it would be a little bit like Parliament saying we invite everybody in to make a decision together. Well, that wouldn't work in Parliament, but actually here at this level, of such a local level, it has worked and it has worked well. So look, a vote of confidence to everybody. I'm really appreciative to the Minister. The $24 million is needed here. With the other money that will be put in from ratepayers, it is needed to help make the change on the on the land, to deal with a legacy issue of an urban area or a city that puts sewage and wastewater into the lake for too long, and the farming practices of 50 or 60 years ago that the farmers of today and the town of today needs to deal with. This is a really big step forward. It's the last part of the puzzle. We now get to focus and get on with the solution, and I can't wait for the years to come to be swimming and fishing in that lake with my kids, because this will become one of the most beautiful lakes in New Zealand.
And now we can look at this future, I guess, of putting legs on the 24 million. That's the next part of the journey, but really appreciate what you've done and your efforts behind that. We heard that today. A lot of people really appreciate that, so thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure, Wayne.
Well, these young men behind me are the future of Bay of Plenty Rugby. They're here today at a talent ID program to find out if they're good enough, if their fitness is good enough, if the skills good enough to be representative in the under-16s, under-17s and the under-18 teams here in the Bay of Plenty. Today we're going to catch up with Chad Tuuruhu, who is the Player Development Manager, and a couple of boys who are out there practicing. Hi Chad, good to have you with City News today. Now, how's the talent or the future of Bay of Plenty Rugby looking?
Yeah, looking good. We've been around Tauranga, Whakatane and Rotorua here today, so we'll be able to canvass probably about 60 kids, and some definitely good talent coming through.
When you say kids, what sort of age group are we looking at?
16 through to 18, so all secondary school kids, and ones that are eligible for our under 16 rep teams and our under 18 rep teams, as well as Chiefs and New Zealand secondary schools programs. So yeah, exciting.
So the talent on it's looking pretty good, because we were watching out there and there's some good tacklers.
Yeah, we put them through some, some specific technical drills out there, so really get a magnified look at how good they are in certain areas of the game, and tackling's obviously a key part. So it was good to see some guys that got some good technique, and others highlight areas to work on, which is also good.
So how long are you running this Talent ID program?
So just for this week, so we're in Tauranga on Wednesday, Whakatane yesterday, and then Rotorua here today. So during the first week of the school holidays, obviously opportunity for kids to come along from within this region, and if they have to travel, obviously, it gives them time to get here and on a day, hopefully, where they got nothing else on.
Now, out of those 60 kids that you mentioned, are you expecting to get a first 15 or a squad of 25?
The aim here is to identify kids that we think have potential to play for our representative teams, and then also we'll select, I guess, the guys that we think have more potential to play for Chiefs or national honours, and they'll come into our future Steamers program, where they'll come to us once a month in Tauranga, where we're based, and we'll have a full day of education around strength and conditioning, nutrition. We'll get some technical coaching from the Steamers coaches and some players, so really try and give them a full day of knowledge that then they can apply during their season, and hopefully when they get to that Chiefs or New Zealand opportunity, that they're ready and ready to go, really put their best foot forward.
It sounds a little bit different from when I play rugby at school. We turn up on Tuesday for tackling practice, and then on the Thursday it's a bit more about the backs and having a bit of a run around. But here it's a little bit more technical, like you said, nutrition and all that sort of planning for future. Yeah,
I guess rugby, we're well into our professional era as a sport, and I guess that's just filtering down now. There's real career opportunities for players and very real opportunities for when they just leave school. So first year, second year leavers can be looking at professional contracts, whether it's in New Zealand or overseas. So that's why I guess you see the importance we place on it at a lower level, and you see the importance it is for the players as well.
Are you happy with the turnout with the boys from here, from Rotorua today?
To be honest, we'd probably expect a bit more, but there's a couple of teams that have just been away on a trip. Obviously, holiday plans would have come into play, but it's the first time we've done this regionally, and there's always things to learn, and we hope over the years it will gather momentum and we get a lot more attendance. Yeah.
It's good to see some young fellas out there going hard because, like I said, I've seen some good tackling out there. But I think also, do you think this is a good stepping stone for them? Like you said, for the future career.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the aim why we do it this early on in the season is to give them an idea on where they're at. So they did a fitness test. Some of them now know that they're not fit enough, and they still have 10 or so weeks to go before the rep season. So for us, it's a win-win for the boys. They can go away now knowing that this is the work they need to put in if they want to be up in the rep program or higher.
And it's obviously important because there's a number of mums and dads here as well supporting their kids, so obviously the whole family's involved.
Yeah, I mean, as it is at sports at this age, there's a lot of family support, and I guess, as a parent I'd be the same, and trying to help my kids get the best opportunity where they need it, and driving them here. Some from Taupo have come across today, so it's good to see. It's good to see that there's still that support on the sidelines.
All right, Chad, appreciate your time today, and best of luck for selecting that team, and we'll see you again in the future.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yes. Hi, Caleb and Ben. Thanks for joining us today. Now, is this the first time you guys have ever been involved in a training camp like this?
No, we've done it in the past years. Yeah.
How about you, Ben?
Ever since about under 14s, just been with the Bay and stuff.
Yeah. So what did you guys hope to achieve out of today?
Just see where my fitness is, and I hope to make the Bay 16s team.
Yeah. And you, Ben?
Yeah, I'll see where my fitness levels are at, and we learn a bit about rucks with the forwards, and hopefully make the Bay under 18s.
Yeah. So what are you guys' future aspirations? Obviously, the Steamers is probably the first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, boys. Appreciate your time.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you.
And no doubt the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union have plenty of new local talent to focus on. And don't forget, if you have any news or an event that TV Rotorua can support, give the station a call on 07 3488 984 or email news@tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for joining us tonight. Pomaria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.